Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. With that said, good morning here, Eastern time. We're out of the Eastern daylight. It is 12:30, and I missed the 20 because it's not on the YouTube thingy. Diane B, how are you? Cosmic hugs, dear, and real hugs if I could get there. And good Saturday morning. Yeah, it's 12:30. It's good that y'all are back on my time and that y'all fell back last weekend into this new time paradigm. It's my late 20 at 30. Oh, that was a good one. That's all there is to that one. So, in reading and pondering things, and my spirit guides have been kind of giving me subjects to discuss for folks. And in these chaotic times, when it seems like a lot of people are trying to persuade you, okay, into thinking certain ways, or this is how it is, or the pyramids were like this and this is what this is for, just stuff in general, and not necessarily new age, but a lot of things are getting a new age twist. So in this new age of things, in this new age of spiritualism, um people want to, now not everybody, okay, and let me discuss here, when I say shaman basics in the title of these things, I'm a shaman in training, and I have expressed that to folks over the last few years, in that I have made my decision that this is the journey and the spirit path and so forth that I choose, okay. Now there are a lot of folks, there are a lot of different levels of spirituality. So it's, you don't have to become a shaman to be spiritual. My granny was very spiritual, but she was a long way from being a shaman, simply because she didn't want to be. It wasn't in her nature, but her nature was that she just wanted to be a good person. And she was. She was delightful. Whereas my other granny on the null side, Catherine, who really looked like the Wicked Witch from the north or west or somewhere. She and she went to church all the time. And so Grandma Raleigh seldom went to church, rarely, and Grandma Null was always going to church, and Grandma Null was the evil one. So, you know, in my lifetime, I've had the opportunity, unfortunately, to witness both sides of this coin from a religious standpoint, right? So spiritually, who is the better person? Grandma Raleigh, hands down. Everybody loved Grandma Raleigh. Grandma No, not so much. Family wasn't around her much. She had kind of hibernated and went off and drank wine all the time, and just okay. So people first off need to choose what level of spirituality they're willing to endure, I will say. Because a true shaman is going to push themselves beyond what other limits other folks would be interested in. If you were in Australia, you'd go on a walkabout. And, if you're Native American or some a native folk, you would go climb a mountain or go deep in the swamp and you'd build a fire and you would stay there and you would go and seek a spirit journey. Sometimes you would take a mild hallucinogen or maybe a very powerful hallucinogen, depending, and to go first on a a medicine journey, a spirit journey. Now, not everybody's into this. So, in this peering into the great mystery, what is the great mystery? Okay, let's say, all right, um, the great mystery is why am I here? What is my purpose in life? That's the great mystery. And so, what am I going to do with my life? How am I going to live it out? What does God intend for me to do? Now, I will say that in the great mystery, I have studied the Bible. I've read a lot of the Bible. Have I read the whole thing? No. Because there are parts where they're begetting people and stuff that just don't interest me. The Old Testament, yeah. New Testament, okie doke. You know, the Gospel of St. Mark was always my favorite. In fact, I was sitting here earlier this evening thinking I need to whip out my old Bible, and um, for some reason, I don't know, Spirit was moving me to go read St. Mark. Don't know what's in it, haven't done it yet. Okay. But so we need to uh, assess our own spiritual necessity. All right. How far do I want to go? Is going to church on Sundays and reading a couple Bible passages good for me and that's what's going to get you through? Okie doke. Uh, There's no criticism here or, reference or whatever. Hey, Susie Q, how are you, darling? Hope you're doing well. So, in our spiritual understanding, there are folks who feel so spiritual that they want to devote their entire life. They become a priest or a nun or a cleric or something, right? So, in my later life, I've decided, that um, I ain't got nothing else to do, sort of. That my time that I have is I, devoted seems a little outlandish. Um, but I'm always sending prayers. I'm always being aware. And that's sort of where I want to be with in this conversation, your awareness. So when you decide that you want to peek into the great mystery, you've made a decision to go further than normal folk do. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's the decision that you make. There are some folks who just don't want to look because in some ways you gotta peek into the darkness, and the darkness sometimes not everybody has dark things that are hidden in their pasts. Okay. Maybe in a reincarnation or a previous past, possibly. I know for myself the reason I'm here on this property, the reason I'm studying certain things, the reason I have been through some, I'll just say maybe traumatic events in my lifetime were meant to teach me things. And you have to go through a hardship sometimes to really understand it. And if you have talked to a medicine man and you are going up the mountain to sit and ask for a spiritual message, and you decide to stay up on that mountain until you get something. And there have been Indian chiefs and shamans and just folk. I know myself. I've been up in the mountains. I've sat on the mountain for hours and hours in sometimes in the cold and sometimes don't like the heat as much as I can put up with the cold. But to sit and just be there. I'm back here in my own backyard, back here in the swamp, up here on the hill a little ways, and over here in when I had my sweat lodge going. To, you go further than just, I'm going to sit and light a candle in the house. Now, there's nothing wrong with sitting in the house and lighting a candle and meditating. Don't get me wrong. But when you push the physical part of you, which is attached to your mental and spiritual, okay? It's all connected. So when you make that journey outside and into nature and build that fire, and when you sit up on that mountain and you're asking the skies and when you're asking the universe, so your intent is so intent, it's very intensified. So you go there to seek the great mystery rather than just going, well, I'm going to meditate tonight. And now you can get there too, but having been both places, meaning just light a candle and sit and meditate, you can wander off into some really great places. But ask anyone who has ever had a true religious experience. They've been somewhere, whatever it was. They have visited someplace, something has happened, and normally outside, okay? They have visited someplace, they were on a journey, they were led to go somewhere. I know my niece, she even wrote a book about it. And I wished I knew where it was at the moment. I would Jennifer Purser is her name, and something about roads. But anyway, um, right after she was born, her father died of cancer. Went a long time ago when she was very young, and it was sad because he didn't deserve that, and he was very young, and so she had to journey out to Arizona or New Mexico, I can't remember which, to visit his grave. Because my sister moved back here with her and her brother. But so she had never met her father. And it had several stepfathers, and different weirdnesses with men. And but she has survived with she's got one boy and two or three girls anyway, and it's done very well for herself and is still doing well. um but she had to go on this journey to have this extra special, quote, religious spiritual experience. So I mean, you can go to church. I've had some very intense spiritual experiences when I was being a Catholic and having, um, you know, prayed heavily at the altar and lit candles to Mother Mary. But it was nowhere near like being outside or the times that I was out on the lake out down here in the middle of the night and looking up at the stars. And when the spirits came down and lifted me out of my kayak and threw me into the universe, I had to be outside in order for that to happen. I've tried a bunch of other ways over my many years, including LSD and mushrooms. I've never had the experience um, that I had being on the lake that night in the middle of the night, early morning, and having had that experience when I wasn't on any kind of hallucinogen. I had hit my bowl a couple of times, but when I'm out in the middle of the lake in the middle of the night with the lights off and it's dark, I don't like to be too high. I want to experience the nature of things. So, but in that, to peer into the great mystery, one must learn to open up their awareness, your awareness. Because if you're very closed minded, then peering into the great mystery is going to be like trying to look through a hole like this into the universe. Like, what? It's, very, very single pointed, but when your mind is open to things and your awareness is open to things, then I'm thinking of a radio antenna. You got a big dish antenna that can pick up all kinds of signals and everything, or you got this tiny little, and I just happen to have one right here. It's an antenna of a portable radio, or you've got an antenna like this, or you've got this great big dish antenna that, takes up half the yard. And so in my case, it'd be a pretty big yard. I mean, a pretty good sized dish. So the more that you are open to the universe and the more that you allow your awareness to expand, that is the key, or at least one of the keys, to peering into the great mystery. So you have to dump off all the shackles of human life. You have to dust off and throw off all the shackles of religion. Now, I gotta say, when I was being a Catholic and reading the Bible all the time and trying to relate my spiritualism to a religion, and of course, this has been many years ago, but with that, I've had several come to Jesus meetings where I actually felt like, now I can't necessarily say it was Jesus who came and sat next to me, but there was absolutely, definitely somebody that came when I've had these come to Jesus meetings with myself. I was usually, in a despondent mode. In severe states of depression and suicide. When I go outside and throw myself on the ground and just, Jesus help me. I mean, I got to have some help with this, or I'm going to commit suicide. So, but I always had to get outside. And whatever the feeling was that I was feeling trapped in my own self and couldn't get out, I would always go outside to a tree, sit on the ground, or whatever, look at the sky, just get out of whatever dwelling and to be in nature. Now, For the elders that I think of in native terms, they're, and I have sat with some of these elders, and, their grandson, do you wish to, you know, seek answers in the great mystery? Yes, grandfather. What are you willing to do to look into the great mystery? What do you mean, grandfather? Hey, Cadmus. Grandfather replies, you must be able to quiet yourself. And you must be still. Well, grandfather, what must I do to do that? To seek into the great knowledge, into the great mystery, to seek knowledge, you must still your mind. Yes, grandfather, that makes sense. But you must also still your spirit. Yes, grandfather, that makes sense. And at the same time, as you clear your mind, and at the same time that you still the spirit, you want to expand the spirit. Grandfather, what do you mean? As you calm yourself and as you still yourself, you wish to be quiet, but you wish to listen. Yes, grandfather. That okay. So what do I do? Well, you should find somewhere, my grandson, and you must find a place where you can be still. And you must find a place that is in nature and within nature. You must use your intuition, which is one of the keys to the great mystery. Your intuition is always tuned to the Great Spirit, to the universe, to all that is. And if you use your intuition, then you will find a place to meditate outside. And you will go there and you will stay as long as necessary to be still and to listen. So, thank you, grandfather. I will seek this place. And grandfather says, be careful. You must follow your heart and not your mind. What do you mean, grandfather? Well, there are times when you think this is a good spot, when you must feel that it's a good spot. You must intertwine the two, but you must allow your heart to answer. Yes, grandfather. So, in this journey of going to the mountain, in this journey of finding oneself, you have to go within. So, the meditation is you close your eyes, you hum, or maybe there's a drum, or whatever it is, that goes within. So, it's not necessarily that you're trying to do internal work. but you go within yourself to draw that energy out of your soul. You bring that heart energy out. Now, there's a lot of words for all this other kind of stuff in with Buddhism or thisism or that, but I'm trying to explain it just um, hopefully simple terms without any kind of names stuck to things. Because Native folks, they just said, that do you feel that in your gut? Well, yes, grandfather. Follow that. Do we need to know what it's called or what it's stuck to a certain chakra or no, no. Because in listening to the dark journalist tonight, there was the discussion and the fourth way kept coming up. The discussion, Bennett, and I don't know some of these people. This was new to me. Been around for a long time where common man can learn the mysteries of the universe. That we don't have to be anything special, that everybody's special. And that common man can learn certain things or certain quote techniques and to be connected to the spirit all the time. Well, listen, hey Barry, how are you? Native American folk, when they're born, seem to be connected to the Great Spirit. I mean, the little children that I did puppet shows for over the years and watched some of these kids grow up over a period of 7 to 10 years, some of them. And some of them were, 9, 10 years old and over 7 years they're 17. Now they're teenagers, right? And one young lady was even on paranormal investigators on the paranormal investigator show out there. And she was a jingle dancer. I knew her mother and her father. And she was on there for seeing ghosts in the house. And I was like, I, had their email back at the time. And I tried to get in touch and say, what was the deal there? But anyway, so in this understanding of things, so there is sort of a mental process in that first you have to have the desire to want to quote seek answers from the universe. Oh, what are those? Well, there are a lot of people that, have what's your goal in life? Well, that's part of the mystery. Who are you as a person? What do you expect out of life? What do you expect spiritually? I mean, the guess what? These are the mysteries. Wow, that was weird. I smelled something weird. Something weird came across my nose all of a sudden. Sneezed. Hey, Miss Pearl, how you doing? So, in listening to and to other folks, and some of these, like tonight, I was listening to the Dark Journalist, and I've listened to other folks. And how do you get like a Dolores Cannon? I've got some of her books. Edgar Casey. I have been a Casey fan since I in '69 ish through the early '70s. Um, and some of my core beliefs stem around some of the Casey readings that I read back in the day. That I still believe in. I just there's just it just hit it fits me, right? I get it. Um, so in having placed myself in situations in nature where like that 3 days on the river that I still don't know how I survived it. That spirit journey was necessary for me. Even though I didn't consciously plan it, it happened. But I can tell you, had I not had that experience on the river, it was traumatic, it was hot, it was hard, it was tough. I honestly thought I was dead. I was not going to, they were going to find my dead body down there on the river, stuck in some weeds in the bushes, way up down the river, where most folks don't go, right? At least one of the sections. But anyway, so, and the fact that I made it out of there rosy and cheery and all that, and not dehydrated and dead, and had to been some kind of supernatural stuff going on, is all I can tell you. Having watched myself go through the woods with a spirit on either shoulder, and I just okey doke. But there's no other way that I could have survived, because it was 102 in the shade. That it was in the middle of dog days. So during this religious experience, which it absolutely was, it absolutely changed my life. I, because I survived it with kind of sort of without a scratch, and with the memory of, there's no way I should have had those 3 days. I mean, without water and food. I mean, I should have been just so dehydrated. So there's a miracle in that. But there was a spiritual show enough leave the body into the great mystery. When I knew that I was in trouble down there, because I had fallen and hurt in my back and I couldn't move, I couldn't walk, I couldn't push the canoe, I just, it wasn't happening. And it was so hot and so terrible. Without any kind of moving air, I went into this little dip between a couple of big palmetto bushes up on the bank, and got down in there and covered myself with some palmetto fronds, and my little dog Sasha curled up next to me, and I got next to the sand, which, and Mother Earth, which was as cool as I could get in this little ditch. And that's where I kind of sort of stayed. And the only thing that I could do was to close my eyes and just meditate and become part of the dirt and the sand, and to, because it was so hot, I just was, it was, I was going to conk out anyway. So, but in that great physical stuff, which I had not planned on, trust me, um, there was a great spiritual awareness in it. And in it, that I was bound and determined that I was going to survive, period. It was so hot during the daytime, I just had to hibernate and become part of Mother Earth. And I did. That's one of the only ways I survived. So the idea, though, that you can spiritually put yourself in a situation that, even though it's physically hard, your spirit is what keeps you from getting any worse. It's your spirit and your awareness that says, "No, I ain't giving up." No, and I knew that I needed help, okay? And I asked for it, and I got the spiritual help. And boy, what a trip, right? So, but not everybody's ready to go up the river in the middle of dog days when it's so hot, and be, unprepared. I was only going to go up for a couple hours, and it was a 3 hour tour. It was sort of like Gilligan's Island. Um, had not expected what happened. So now I'm more prepared, and now I'm, but to the point though that it's my shaman journey, not everybody else's. Now, I did not know that I was on a shaman journey when I spent that time on the river. And the river taught me that I was now on a shaman journey. Okay. So I was being spiritual and changing and working on it. But the 3 days on the river, it was almost four. Um, but who's counting? Was that, oh my God, why didn't I die from this? I mean, I still am in wonderment, like, uh, 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 what? I made it? Are you serious? Yep. So, journeys of the body will absolutely stimulate journeys of the mind and of the heart and of the spirit. You go someplace in the Smokies, or you take a trip just out in the country, and just take a deep breath in the fresh air. You go out to see the leaves change. It's spiritual. It helps the spirit. Now, I'm talking about this because these are basic things that you get. And you go, yeah, I know. All I got to go is get in the truck and roll down the window and drive up the road a couple of miles and just sit. It's up on a hill. You can, good view all the way around. Nobody's going to drive by. You can see the stars and everything is bright. I mean, and in the daytime, it's a good view as well. It's not high up, but it's one of the highest points in this area. It's, 300 and something feet above sea level, which for this area is high. It's not a mountain, but it's higher than Thomasville, which is sitting at about 250 or 200. So we're up higher, so we get a decent view. But my point is that up there on the hill, there's pine trees nearby, and it's just quiet, and there's no houses around. Well, there is one, but it's so quiet, you can see all around. Um, And even though it's nice here at my house to go up the road 2 miles and sit up there at the crossroads, it, it's just beautiful, especially to watch the sky. So I can have a religious experience here, but I can go up the road and it's even better. Okay. So you push yourself a little bit. So in this, I want to understand I want to peer into the great mystery. And all of these things, you're preparing yourself to listen and to be aware of spirit talking to you. Because if you've followed your intuition and find this spot that just feels special to you, might not mean nothing to anybody else, but if it feels good to you, that's where you go, right? And sit and meditate or stare at the sky or just clear your head, or it might be near water or whatever, but it's the spot that you choose. So while you're there, then you can seek the great mystery because you've already followed your heart, your intuition, you have followed your spiritualness. And when you get there, you get comfortable and you allow yourself to open up to the universe. Now, here's the thing. What questions do you seek in the great mystery? Uh, Why am I here? Well, that can change over the years, let me tell you. So at 20 years old, why am I here is different than why am I here at 50, and it's a damn sure different than why am I here at 70. Okay. So if you're expecting a single answer to like fit everything, and all of your future is going to be this way or something, and that's part of the awareness, because the universe might show you that there are several things uh, in the future. So, what specifically do you want to ask the great mystery for today? It's sort of like looking into a crystal ball. So now I'm here on this earth, and my reasons for being here has changed due to the levels of awareness, spiritualness over the years. And I keep having little waves of spiritualness. Trust me. I mean, this heart attack was a big one. And the medicines I'm on right now, I don't know if the medicines are making me goofy headed or if the universe is just, I'm sorry, I'm going to use the F word. I don't know, but maybe the universe is just fucking with me. And, I'm blaming it on all these medicines, which are extensive, that are making me, loopy headed, s- seeing shit that just ain't there, and you know, looking into the I say looking into the future, but having this discussion with about peeing into the great mystery. I don't think they would like that too much, but peering into the and now I'm using the word peering is like, you know, seeking, looking, asking questions. Now, the great mystery, some folks would, that's the Akashic record. Okay, it's in there. That's part of the great mystery. But what do you want to know and why? Seriously. I mean, what are your questions? And if you ask a bunch at the same time, you're just going to get all kinds of weirdness. So I've always said that you need to focus on one thing, one topic. You say, well, why am I here? Well, to live. Okay. No, but what is my purpose in life? Isn't that sort of like, why am I here? Well, but so you ask the one question, why am I here? And so the answer might be, in a very simple way, to live a good life. And you go, that's it? That's the answer? Well, if you will stop and meditate, my spirit guys are kind of laughing. Like we said this to Dave years ago and he laughed at us. And I did. And they were like, but why am I here to live life? What? No, you're here to live life. Yeah, but that's not an answer to live life. So I was walked around and kicking the dirt and you're here. Yeah, but but now at 70, I look back when they were telling me this at 30. I'm like, oh, holy shit. I really kind of get that. It's a simple statement, but it means a whole lot because I've had 40 years ish of life to live, having asked the question again over and over, sometimes several times in the same, what is my purpose here? To live a full life. But that's not an answer. But it is. So, but what does, so the next question is, all right, universe, so what is a full life? And they come back, technically, that's what we're doing. Exactly. And I mean, so, but here's the thing. So you ask the question, and the answer comes back from the universe, and you go, but that's no fucking answer. What the hell is this? I need a little bit more to this, right? Well, so then the specific, then the questions can get more specific. Specific. All right, so then what is a full life, universe? Tell me, God, what does a full life mean? Well, sometimes, 25 years ago, a full life meant something totally different than it does now. Okay. So, but there I've always had these core values because I bought this piece of property. I am still homesteading it. Um, and so what is my purpose in life? Well, it's to, you know, pay for this place and make try to make something of it. And okay, well that's a goal, but that's a purpose. So what is my purpose and why am I here? Well, there's a lot of things that you have to interact with in order to homestead, farmstead, or just, keep a house for 40 years. And, there's a lot to be learned just in that. So you've made a commitment, but then why am I here? Well, that's to finish what you started, which means I've been here 40 years and I don't really and want to sell, I'm comfortable here. But now I'm like, but my house isn't finished and I need parts of my roof really need fixing. And I can't crawl up there myself anymore like I used to could. So, my goals have changed from doing things myself to now I got to pay folks, coerce somebody into coming to work on my house or whatever. But, so um, the goals are still the same to be here, but how you get there and what's in store in the future is different as time changes. So you ask the great mystery, a sincere and honest question. And you're not BSing around or nothing. You're not trying to be a snothead or nothing. But you get this simple answer. Why am I here? To find yourself. What kind of freaking answer is that? But to find yourself. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means to live a full life. Oh, holy crap. You're giving me these answers from the universe. But after 30, 40 years, these simple answers from the universe actually make sense. To live a full life. Yeah, it means to be joyous. Well, what does that mean? Well, try to be happy as much as you can. Quit bitching about everything, which is what I used to do in the old days. Of course, I stayed drunk a lot and I tried to be high all the time, which is, we're coming up on a 20, by the way. And so we have broad questions to the universe. But if you're not aware of things, then a simple answer, which you might just chuck to the side, you go, well, that ain't no, hey, Michelle, again, you go, well, that's no freaking answer. Come on now, universe, to live a full life. That's that's a $64 question to the unit. Yep. But if you sit down and meditate on that, and here's the thing, you ask the universe to expound or expand upon what that means. Now, over the years, because time has changed, situations have changed, people have come and gone, jobs have come and gone, um, famine has come and gone, hard times has come and gone, and right now things are humming along okay. Knock on wood. Don't want to, press no issues or nothing, but the truck's running. It rained last night, and the roof didn't leak. That's a good thing. So I'm good here. So, but to live a full life, well, it depends on who you are. What a full life to me means and what it means to you are not the same things. We may have similar things. I'm always talking about the kayak and the river and adventures and stuff like that. That's who I am. And I've always been that way, but other folks aren't. Folks like to sit and draw, or they like to, or paint, or, I mean, different hobbies, crochet, or maybe it's whatever, right? Please put down the video games. But anyway, as hobbies, oh my God. But your brain is being stolen. Hi, Bob, by the way. And but the idea though that so where would you put your priorities in wanting to um become more spiritual, or do you even give a shit? I mean, there are folks who, well, I don't care. Well, why should I read the Bible? What do you mean I'm supposed to be spiritual? What do you mean by blah blah blah? Okay. Woo. Cheers, that was a good one. So the great mystery is all around us. It's in the cells that we breathe. It's in the oxygen and the carbon and the whatever's in the air. It's there. We're swimming in the universe, literally. Now, so folks were like, Hawkeye, that's bullshit. I don't believe this. But you are. I just breathed out smoke, you know, and it's in the air. It's part of the universe now, what I exhaled into the room. Better get out the spray. Oh, Febreze. Oh, please don't get me started. But anyway, if you aren't aware, and there are folks that I've talked to who like just give me this dumb look, like, what you talking about, Buster? You know, I'm talking about the universe. It's all around you. Now, don't give me no bullshit. Well, do you believe that oxygen and that air is around you? Well, yeah, I'm breathing the stuff in. I mean, well, do you smell it? Well, not unless you farted, well, but that's a fart and the air, but you smell the fart, but the air is there. You don't smell the air. But now you can go outside after a rain and smell the freshness of the air, right? So you actually can smell air. Now, like horses and other animals, and even people can smell water. Okay. So especially when it's really dry, but there are times when you can smell rain coming or just whatever. So the senses, But when you're aware that your senses like smell, how can you smell water? It's water. But I mean, there's a difference in the air, and you can almost taste it. You can almost taste the air. If you're in a smog or fog condition, you can smell it. Last week it was kind of smoggy, foggy around, and somebody was burning something somewhere nearby. And at one time, it smelled like somebody was barbecuing. I mean, it was like, oh my God, it made me hungry. But if the neighbors are burning a half a mile away or further, and I can smell, kind of sort of see the smoke across the neighbor's place, and it's a little hazy, in the sky when I look this way, but not this way. So I'm perceiving things. I'm aware of my surroundings. I can smell the smoke in the air, which is like, what's going on? And then I see the smoke in this direction. So these are all things of awareness. Okay, well, what's that got to do with the great mystery? It's got to do with the awareness. So when you can become aware of things with all of your senses, and then you start using your third eye, then when you close your eyes and meditate and go to the mountain, as it were, you're prepared for the great mystery because now your awareness is open. So, what questions do you want to ask? Anything in particular? What is really on your mind that you want to ask the great mystery? What's going on? So, but when the answer comes, do you understand it? Do you get it? So I've asked the same damn questions when I was 35 as not I'm kind of sort of subconsciously asking the questions like, now that I'm 70, now what do I do? Now what's up? Now what? And the answer comes back for me. You need to help people understand about this. Like I'm having this conversation right now. I'm trying to be plain spoken about this, and that it's really not complicated. So native peoples didn't have to jump through a lot of hoops, although they did. A lot of times it was your intent. You want to have a a special thing with the Great Spirit. You want to have a conversation with God. Then you need to go. What did Moses do? What did all you know, Isaac? But they all went to the mountain, right? They went to the wilderness. Jesus went to the wilderness for, all that time and had a chat with the devil and so forth. And um, so it depends on how far you wish to go with your spiritualness. How far do you want to push the boundaries of your awareness? You know, um, it's up to you. Where does your life lead you? Well, so once you learn that the great mystery is always there, for me, now that I've had some of these profound experiences, I can bring them home with me because in here is locked the the physical experience that I have and the physical experience and this because I was looking for a spiritual experience, okay? I'm out on the lake in the middle of the night looking up at the stars Of course, I'm looking for a spiritual experience. Okay, universe, talk to me. Have a chat with me. Show me something I've not seen before. Oh boy, what a ride. But somebody else could have been out on the river with me, and some folks have, and they have had spiritual experiences because it's so different. I was talking with my physical therapist the other day, and he said, "You go out on the river in the middle of the night?" And I said, "Well, I haven't lately since I've had Duggar mainly, because he's, he's not really difficult, but in the middle of the night, so I think we're probably due for a middle of the night, session. Now that the weather's cooled down and everything, maybe he and I should go to the river in the middle of the night. That'd be a trial and everything. That'd be an experience. And the water did come up a foot after the rain, so that's nice. It's still only at 3 foot though. It's pretty low. But anyway, so how far do you want to go for the experience? Now, for me, I like being on the water, but being beside the water could have been almost as good. But there's something about that floating thing. I'm just saying, you know. Um, but my physical therapist asked me, he said, "You go down the river at nighttime? Ain't that like weird and scary?" And I was like, "Dude, I've had people and women, that have went down the river with me in the middle of the night and just like, you know, you really got to trust me to follow me in a kayak in the middle of the night down through the swamp. Is it dangerous or whatever? No, not any more dangerous than in the daytime. You got your PFD on. The only thing that you might do is run into a spider web that you don't see, because it's dark. But once you allow your eyes to adjust to the darkness, there's a different sense. I was outside tonight in the dark and I could see all around. Now we've coming off a full moon, so it's kind of bright outside, you know. But still I was like, years ago I couldn't have went outside without a flashlight. I mean, just every time a flashlight. Where's my flashlight? I'm going outside. Now I go outside and then I go, maybe I should have brought the flashlight. What the hell? It depends on where I'm going or what I'm doing, right? But when your eyes adjust to the darkness, there is an awareness there. I'm just here to tell you. And I said, the whole experience of being on the river and nature and hearing the crickets and maybe it's skeeters going by your head or whatever, hearing frogs croaking or just the wind blowing in the trees if there is any. And the experience of the stars that come out, and you can see where the river is by where the trees are. So the shadows over here and the shadows over here, and overhead are the stars. You know, there's a difference. And when your eyes adjust, you can see it. So because you know me, how the pioneers do it? How the Indians do it? Did they always have lanterns and things to go down the rivers? And I've learned that the answer is no. That you can go down the river, without a flashlight. Now I'll turn on the flashlight and look and see if there's anything in the way and turn it off, and then paddle for a quarter to a half a mile, and maybe turn on the light again, look around, turn it back off. I don't um, paddle with the light on all the time. It doesn't make sense. And also, I want to feel what it's like to be a part of nature without some kind of artificial light, You can see well, you can see shit. You can see stuff, right? And sometimes it's a firefly, sometimes it's some kind of spirit light that's off in the woods. And if you had your flashlight on, your eyes, um, they dilate. So then when you turn the flashlight off, you have to get, it takes you a few minutes to get adjusted again. So, but the experience of being in the dark naturally is an experience. It's a religious experience if you've never done it before. And to trust someone and you find out that, oh my God, we went 2 miles down the river and back with barely a flashlight in the middle of the night, or at least in dark, and nothing happened. And how was the experience? Spiritual. How did you feel? Strange, but after I got used to it, it was calming. And so, but see, that's when you can allow yourself the awareness of something like this that is totally out of your norm. That's peeking and peering into the great mystery, because you have shuck and jived all of the things that would normally keep you from doing something like that. And so for me, being down on the river in the dark, as I've talked many times, it's like learning how to astral project. I said, go into a room and check it out really good, and then go back in and lie down or sit down and close your eyes, and then walk it in your mind. And eventually, you will literally be there with your brain without having to walk into the other room. But you have to practice this. You have to allow it to happen. You have to trust it. You have to believe. Oh my God, believe, 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 believe. So if you don't believe that the great mystery exists, for example, or that you could get an answer from the universe, and if you got an answer, would you listen? Would you understand it? Would you stop and meditate on it? So, like for me, you know, what's the secret of life? It's to have fun. The secret to life is to live a full life. It's to have fun when you can, and well, and to be nice to people. I mean, there's a certain moral code, which is to do no harm. So if you follow the one rule, and which is pretty easy, you don't have to remember much. So you follow one rule, all right. Well, the universe tells you, say, so you get this internal feeling, I, I, I should be moral. Well, some folks don't feel that way. They are looking into the great mystery because they want to control something. They want to be a god, or they want to be a command, or they want power in some ways. Okay, you can't take none of it with you when you go. And you never know when you might end up going. So don't care how rich or poor you are. If it's time to go and your number's called, it don't matter how much money or how many hotel motels on, or do you own Park Place. All right. Maybe you're sitting on free parking. Maybe like me, I had to go to jail. Um, Pay the fine, do not pass go, do not collect $200. So, but in the religious experience of things, all of these things are connected, and they're not, but they are, and they're not. because it's the questions that you ask the universe and your intent at the time. So, like I said, same question at 35, same question at 45, same question at 55, and every single time it meant something different because of age, time, experience, and my awareness of things over the years. How my eyes have opened, how my spirit is opened, how my senses and awareness is more open. So continue to ask the question. But if you're going to get this solid, definite answer, well, you know, to be joyous and live a live a full life, that's a really good answer. To live a full life. But to every single person on this earth, it means something different. Are you going to be an artist? Are you going to be a baker? And you don't have to be the same thing. I mean, my pops, Arnie, he was a meat cutter for 20 years, gave that up, a decent paying job at least, and joined a carnival. And, until he retired. So the idea, though, that you don't have to do the same damn thing for all of your life. You can switch up, change up. You can go to school for one thing now, and 10 years later, if you're tired of whatever you went to school for, go learn something else. You know. So what is your goal in life? Well, it's to learn things. Okay. So what is your so the answer though then becomes, what is your personality? So each person has to determine that. So what do I like to do? Do I like baseball? Nah. Do I like football? Do I like hockey? Well, I live down here in the South. Although the Tampa Bay, whoever they were on their hockey team, won the Stanley Cup a year or so ago, but and they're in Florida. But are they the Rays? No, that's the baseball team. But anyway, but to the point. So, what do you want to do in life? And what's expected of me from the universe when you ask the great mystery these questions? Because you need to start out with some basics. So, but the answer, we can kind of sort of answer them before you even go into a meditation. Well, it should be basic to live a full life. What does that mean? Well, that's the tricky question for each person. Do you want to get married and have a baby? Well, I can't have a baby. I'm too old and I'm a man, although there are some people out there that think men can have babies. It ain't true. And I do not want it coming out the only hole down there, sort of. Never mind. Scheduled for a colonoscopy soon. That's going to be close enough to having a baby I want to have. All right. So our hobbies and our interest dictate what kind of life we want to have. Now, the God factor in all of this is that if you don't like what you're doing, figure out another way. Well, I'm stuck in this job. Are you? If you lost the job, would you find something else? So I've been stuck in several jobs over the years and have had that, oh my God, there's nothing I can do. I got to keep this job. And then you lose it for some reason. And then you go, now what the F am I going to do? It forces you into asking the universe and to extending beyond your normal boundaries or physical whatever, because you have to go search and look for a job, you see. So you're extending yourself. Yeah, man, there have been too many times when I thought I had a job and was kind of moseying along pretty good. Next thing you know, you get laid off. and for whatever reason, you only qualify for 2 weeks of unemployment, and that's it. And if you don't find a job in 2 weeks, which they usually hold out 2 weeks of pay, so there's always that time in between jobs when there ain't no money. And if you don't have anything saved, you're SOL. So, have been there, done that. It ain't fun, but you got to get through it. And somehow I've always made it. Tough, rough, went hungry, always had a little something to eat, but one meal a day, and you were happy for bread and gravy. Sometimes that was the meal, or just rice and gravy, period. Just rice and gravy. And we're happy to get it. But in the spiritual realm of things, all of these experiences open up our mind's eye as we open up our awareness. So, to look into the universe, we close our eyes and look within. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to, every time this looking within has nothing to do with solving your problems or whatever. Or now you do have to do your own internal homework. There isn't an elder or medicine man or woman who wouldn't tell you that if you've got internal issues and you're always thinking, worrying, whatever, that you need to settle them. Because the universe don't want to talk to you. Why? Well, the universe is always talking to you, but if you're clouded with other things and you've got worry on the mind, or basically it all basically resolves into worry. Because if you're not in a positive mood and something's bothering you, guess what? You're worried about something. And there are folks who are guilty of things, as like, for me, I lived for so many years in shame because of what the priest did to me, all the way back, to when I was 15, 16, 17 years old. And so, in that mindset, though, of all the years of shame, so I couldn't progress spiritually because I couldn't get rid of the shame. So I had internal work to do. So, but not everybody has issues like, those of us who have been pedophiled or whatever. So we ask folks, um, the universe, so you ask yourself, is there something that's constantly bothering me? Is there something that I've hid away or pushed aside that I honestly need to just deal with in here? Like my niece, who had to go to New Mexico, I think, or maybe it was Arizona. I can't remember. And then wrote a book about it. So it's not like I'm speaking out of turn, because she wrote a damn book about it, her journey. And I should find the book and whatever. But anyway, maybe I should read it online. That would be interesting. And share her book with y'all. But so in her journey, which she has written a book and shared with anybody who'll read it, you understand? So it's open to the public. In that she found her own spiritual journey. She found her own peace of mind. She found herself, but she had to take the journey. So not everybody's got to go to Arizona or New Mexico. Not everybody's got to go to a mountain, but you might go outside and sit and ponder or whatever. But the more that you try harder to find a wilderness spot, whether it's uncomfortable or not, you try to go camp somewhere or do something that's out of your norm, because it's out of your norm when the spirit really speaks to you. There, it's just weird. I can sit at home and rock in my little rocking chair outside and look at the stars and have lots of nice thoughts and meditations, but I'm still at the house. Yeah, I'm looking at stars and yeah, I'm comfortable, but to go somewhere else out of the ordinary and to push the physical and to sit somewhere else at another location. I mean, even to go down on the river, you know, it's still on my property. Yeah, but the house is here, but the river's down there. And there are certain spots down on the river that are just special to sit. I don't know how else to tell you. So, I could sit here and outside and or go to that special place down in the woods. What's the difference? I can't explain it, but there is. Okay. So, and to make that extra effort, and of course, the spot feels spiritual to me. I follow my intuition and, like, okay, here's this is really special spot on the river. I'm going to sit here and light a fire and just be. And maybe I don't have an issue. Maybe I just want to be there for the experience of nature and allow the universe to just plop something on me, whatever it might be. So, the mysteries in the great mystery, and sometimes the mystery is simply allowing yourself and dropping all these things and opening up your awarenesses to the point where the universe can just speak to you. And there's been some interesting conversations I've had with the universe. And without being on any kind of drugs or anything, but in having to push the physical. So if it just changing location, okay, I'm in the house and I got my eyes closed and I'm doing a little meditation thing. If I just go outside, the difference and the texture and the smell and the it changes my spiritualness. It just does. So if I really want to talk to God, I'm going to go outside. And if I really, really, really want to talk to God, I'm going to light a fire. And if I really, 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 really want to talk to God, I'm going to bring my drum and I'm going to do a small ceremony and I'm going to burn some sage. And if I really, 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 really want to talk to God, I'm going to dance and I'm going to drum and I'm going to be there all night. So there are different stages of, chatting with the universe kind of thing. But the creator is always around us. Source energy is always around us. And I noticed I haven't said anything recently because observations have been odd, but I've been watching the Schumann resonance. And where a couple of months ago, it was always off the charts. A week ago, there wasn't anything on the charts. There was barely any blue anywhere. There were no yellow spikes. And I mean, for days. It was so, I have never seen the Schumann resonance be so quiet. It's pretty dang quiet right now, where there was always at 7.8, there's always a little bit of going on. It just clear. Now, I don't know what that means in the long run. But here's one thing: there's a lull in the action, okay? because we are being bombarded constantly by all different kinds of frequencies. Now we're not being bombarded, it seems like, much of anything. What has transpired? Maybe some of this goofiness that I feel is the lack of all these spikes in the Schumann, which were keeping all of us agitated at some point. So, but it's been very odd, very odd, very odd, because I've been watching the Schumann now for years, and to see it as clean and clear as it is right now. So, what is the lack of this energy doing to us? A lull in the storm, the calm before the storm? I don't know. I I don't have a theory on that. But, we're still getting bombarded from, high waves and everything from the sun. There was another flare yesterday or today, and so we've got incoming. That's supposed to be, fairly strong, and to, be careful and but what side of the earth is going to be facing that when it hits here. But anyway, the fact that the human is being so quiet is just strange. So, but that has an effect on our spirits as well. So, whatever is affecting or not Mother Earth is going to affect or not you and me. So, how we interact with the source of our energy around us, if the energy is all kind of sparkly and high intensity, then a lot of us are going to pick up on it, and we're just, it, you know. But when it's like that, it's difficult sometimes to sit and be quiet and to find that quiet solitude. Now, I must admit that after all these years of wanting, wishing, and having conversations with the great mystery, that having had those extreme situations in my own shaman journey, which I don't necessarily recommend it, okay, the things that I've had to go through or that I have tortured myself with. But at least go camping someplace, at least put yourself out of the house and somewhere else to, if you wish to progress on your spiritual journey, because the journey of the physical is the journey of the mental and the journey of the spirit. It's all connected. So you want to journey with the spirit, you got to go take a walk. You got to go take a ride. You got to go, I don't know about a plane or a bus, or you know what I mean, but you got to go someplace else because it's part of the journey, you see. But I can tell you that because of those experiences, like the being lifted up off the lake that time in the middle of the night, I can close my eyes and be quiet and reenact that moment because I was there. I could smell the air. I was sitting on the water. I was looking up at the sky. The temperature was cool. I mean, I can still feel the being there. All right. And so, with my cosmic energy and my um, astral projection, in a way, it's the remembrance of being on it that you feel like I can just, it is just, you know, 14 miles, 12, 14 miles down the road. So it's really close, but in my mind, it's just a thought away, just a thought. So, and then The next thought, first it's the thought of being on the lake, and next it's the experience of being taken off into the cosmos when I was on the lake. So I can feel it, experience it, and relive it in a way. So even though I'm still sitting here in the house. So, but have if I had not extended myself and have had these journeys physically, spiritually, and otherwise, right? I couldn't bring it home with me. There's certain mountains that I remember having been there at night, took a candle and some sage and went out and meditated for a couple of hours up in the mountains. Up in the Ozarks, I remember a spot. Um, I'm hoping that this one spot in the Ozarks, I'm going to go visit Barry, and I'm going to go revisit one of these places that I haven't been to in almost 50 years, or it might be 50 years. But to the point, though, that even after all these years, I went back on Google Earth and looked at the area and went, oh my God, it still looks the same. So in my mind's eye, I could see this, not necessarily from a Google Earth point of view, but I remember the Slimore Creek that goes through, which is turns into a river when it rains. But there's a bridge that goes over, a steel bridge, and then there's this little hilltop. When there was a picture of the pavilion, it looks exactly like it did when I was there. We camped there for almost 3 weeks up at, back in the 70s. And so my mind was like, oh my God, I can still smell the air. I can still feel the mountains around me. Just by seeing that pavilion, that picture of that pavilion. So it's spiritual. But here's the thing. So that pavilion and where we camped has been in my mind for all these years. 40 something years before I bought the property here, because we tried to move out there and it didn't work out and we moved back here. But the fact that that camping spot is still there, that the pavilion is still there, that the mountains still look, the picture that I saw, it was like, oh my God, after all these years, it's still that. So it's still spiritual to me because it was a beautiful place that we lived for a couple of weeks back in my short-haired hippie days when we moved to Arkansas, and lived in a paddy wagon. I wish I had pictures on, digital. Um, but the fact that we did it and the experience and how spiritual it was for me as a young man in my 20s, and now to go back at 70 to the same campground, and it's going to be totally different spiritually speaking. But I need now that I've seen the pictures and everything, it's almost like I gotta go back. I gotta go back. I gotta go back. Me and Duggar need to go camp out there. I gotta go back. That I gotta go back. So when I want to go see Elderberry, and that's going to be, I'll be close to his neighborhood, but that's a good place for me to stop and go camping, before I make it on up to where he lives in Missouri. But so it was spiritual to me back then, but I've had these little like flashes of forward thinking. What is it going to feel like now to me? Um, Having had all these experiences in my life, going back and reliving something 50 years later, and how's it going to feel? What's it going to look like? What's it going to smell like? I mean, I've seen the pictures on Google Earth, and oh my God, it still looks the same. So, and going down the gravel road, and Um, there's a couple of twists and turns. I saw one of the biggest deer in my life on the road that goes to this campsite. And so it's like the spiritual experience that I had then has carried all these years. And I can still feel that experience. Now, to go relive it, that's another shaman journey. That's up to me. Well, I can think about the place and I can look at the picture and I can dream about it and maybe even physically go there in with my psychic walking thingy, you know, but to physically drive there and go camp there with my dog. And since I got nowhere to go, I mean, I don't have to be anywhere. I got to wait till I get done with all the doctors and all these procedures here. Um, but nothing major. So when I get things took care of, I want to go visit this place again, right? And now that I got my truck running and so forth, and knock on wood and all, um, then why not? For me, I can say, why not take my shaman journey to another level if possible? And that would be to revisit someplace that has always had a spiritual reference to me anyway. So how does that feel for you? But in this peering into the great mystery, all of these things matter. Now you can start practicing anytime. Why? Because the great mystery is always there. It's always present. It's present in the source energy around us. We don't have to go anywhere, but you must go on the journey to seek what the answers that you're looking for. Well, have a full life. So what does that mean? For you to seek the answer to what does have a full life mean, that's the answer from the universe that you're getting. Have a full life, live a good life, be joyous, be happy. Yeah, but what does that mean? Well, that's up to you. And the answers aren't necessarily ever changing. The answers are the same, but your perception at the time that you hear the answer to your questions determines what it means to you. What it meant at me at 35, 45, what it means to be now is different. It changes like the weather. So, my dear friends, I wanted to get on here and chat about this. And I think I have said enough in trying to explain this. But the answers that you get, then that's a different story as to how to interpret them. So, over the years, I've learned that in the great mystery, it's you just ask the simple question: show me what you mean by what you just said. But you have to be open and aware. If you're trying to think that this is what it means, it might mean something totally different. Because back when I was 35, I looked at here's the answer, and this is what, and I looked at it with very much blinders. I didn't see the whole picture. Now it's totally different after all these years. But the answer is still pretty much the same. Live a full life, Hawkeye. Live as good a life as you can. you know, Help folks along the way because that's what I have chosen to do. Be friendly, be nice, be courteous, abide by the law of one. And, but every day is different. We'll treat it and we'll do the best we can. We'll live in the now, but we'll also try to project things like I want to go to Arkansas. I want to go meet, Barry personally. There are a couple of other rivers I'd like to go float on. I mean, there are things I wish to do, and to meet people, and hopefully with a smile and a hug to pass along good energy. So what I want out of life, it has changed after all these years. It's still kind of sort of been basic, but that in helping people. So, I'm physically not able to do a lot of stuff, but if I can be here or answer the phone or talk to somebody when they're down or something like that, then I still have a purpose and I can still be useful. So, I'm leaving myself open to the universe. So, do I have a plan? Yeah. The plan is to try to just keep going and to, try to help out. Or so, how is it going to happen? I don't know. But I believe and I believe and I believe and I believe in the universe that the answers will come to me when it's necessary. So, that's another thing. Sometimes an answer will come to you and you'll shake your head and go, this makes no sense at all. And you can study on it and you can ask the universe and it comes back the same answer and you ain't got a clue what it frickin' really means. So the answer to that is then you just have to allow the universe to explain itself. And sometimes it takes um sometimes it takes practice. That's true. They interrupted me here, but sometimes it does take practice and listening and understanding. But it also, it takes patience because you're looking for the answer and you're seeking and you're seeking and you're seeking. But while you're seeking and seeking, you ain't listening because you're seeking. You're looking, 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 and the intensity. And sometimes I have found things for people and I have looked too hard and missed things, walked right past them, walked right over them, looking for a set of keys, looking too hard. And so I've learned that you have to allow yourself to find something. So yeah, you're looking and you're scanning with your eyes, but then there's the feeling that you get when I have lost something or looking for something or whatever. So then the feeling draws you to, oh, some bitch, it's over here. Well, why did you look over there? Well, I didn't look over here. I don't know. I just had a feeling it was over there. So you follow your intuitions. So all of these things I don't think I have mastered it in any way, but I'm better at it than I used to be because I know to just, well, I can look for it, but if I look, I can look too hard in the searching. So when you're searching for the answer in the universe, if you search and look too hard, you a lot of times you just can't hear the answer or the explanation or anything else to go along with it because you're seeking that answer. And a lot of times, I know for me, especially a long time ago, I was searching for an answer because I'd read something or I somebody was trying to, something about it, and so I'm like questioning, or what about this, or something, something. So it already had, and so at sometimes already had already had a preconception of what the answer was going to be, or I'd formulated that the answer's got to be like this, and I was nowhere near correct, you know. So you can't take anything with you when you go looking. You got to leave your little knapsack and backpack over here on the side, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, uh, you know, Jones, the hat and the going on an adventure, Um, I can't think of his first name. Anyway, Barnaby Jones. There you go. So But in the search though, so you have to walk down the path and use your intuition. But so there are lots of answers in the universe. You know me, I'm always, you know, you know, um, I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and all the, the great things from the universe, all the gifts from the universe. So I mean that. So, but in that awareness and to accept, well, here's the answer today, or, or this year. This answer might be good for a couple of years. And then there are people who have midlife crises. And you ask the universe again, and your point of view has changed because times have changed, people have changed, situations have changed. So the more that you understand of this going into asking the universe, the easier it's going to be for the universe to answer you. It's going to be easier for you to go, oh, okay, I may not fully understand this, but I, the universe told me to live a full life. Okay. And to follow the law of one. Okay. That's really very basic. So then it's up to you to boil down what that answer means to you. Because it means the same thing to everybody. Whoever's seeking, looking, or whatever, it's going to come back to the same answer. Why am I here? To live a good life, to live a full life, to do the best you can. Well, but to do the best I can, but that now you're asking specifics. Now you got to go into who are you? What are your talents? What are you interested in? Do you want to go to school? I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but to the basic thing, the question you asked of the universe, why am I here? It's to, live a full life. That's very direct and it meets everybody's why are you here? It does. Now, but the details are depends on your individual personalities and what you may or may not. There are things I never thought I was going to be involved in. And then over the years, I'm like, oh, holy crap, I never expected I'd be doing this. And here you are doing it, right? So, but you keep your mind open, you keep your heart open, and the universe will bring you all kinds of answers and things. So it's been almost 2 hours, and we're coming up on it's 2:17. Thank you, Michelle, for warning me. And I do have just a little bit more left in my bowl. But so the ticket to the universe, lots of answers, lots of stuff out there. Um, and one of the other things too is that ego can get in your way because you think you know what the answer is, or you know, there were certain things over the years, and like I was saying earlier, I was looking at them really narrow, and I couldn't see the bigger picture because I didn't have the awareness that I do now, because I didn't know about having awareness of other things, right? I was just, okay, universe, give me the freaking answer right now. And it's like, sorry, bud, but we tried, but you were so narrow minded you wouldn't listen. Okay. Happy 20. Cheers, everyone. So, What determines the answers from the universe to you? It depends on you and your point of view. It depends on you and your intent. You can bitch at the universe all you want to, but the complaints that you will have are going to be personal. Well, I don't know what to do because of it, because I've been through this. Well, I don't know what to do because, okay, universe, tell me. Well, listen, you got to make a change. But I'm stuck and I got to, so I can bitch and complain and everything to the universe, but the universe, the simple answer is, then get out of it. You're in a rut. But I don't know how, blah, 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 blah. But then you got to open up and be open to different things to get yourself out of it. Oh, but I'm stuck in the situation and there's no way out and I'm going to live and die like this and all, well, then there you go. So, but the universe gave me answers in life, but it was my narrow point of view and my short sightedness due to lack of experience or guidance in any way. You know, the folks that I were talking to were all some kind of Christian something and Bible thumpers, and it all had to do with Jesus and God when I was just asking for simple thingies. Well, you got to put your trust in God and ask Jesus to come into your life. Well, I done asked that guy, but he's busy because everybody's asking him, right? That mofo is busy. So every time I ask Jesus to come and, I already believe him. But he's busy. And my poor little old problem over here, there's some girl that was in an accident. She's lost a leg. That girl needs Jesus needs to go help her. My little old problem over here ain't near as bad as some of these other folks, right? So, but putting your faith in the Lord, well, it's there. But there's a higher step to this. It's put your faith in the Creator. It's put your faith in the universe. It's to put your faith in the source. It's to put your faith into the great mystery. Oh my God. There's nothing you can touch, grab onto, but there are pictures in my head of what the great mystery might be like if I could quote see it. But in my mind's eye, I can picture it. Or am I actually there? So, but to the great mystery, it's always there. It's always open. Whether you got spirit guides or not, you're trying to solve a question and you got to wonder what the answer is and blah, blah, blah. And then it comes to you. That's it. Everybody's had them aha moments like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. And then all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, if I get a piece of rope and a thing, I can tie this up and that'll work for a few minutes. There are, so because you haven't been in a situation, you don't know what the answer is. So I've been in situations before where thought broke down, this and that and the other thing, this that will never work. And then you put your trust in your faith. And I'm thinking of an incident when we were broke down in Tennessee that one time. And I needed a breaker bar. And all there was a piece of plastic pipe. And I never thought that piece of pipe would work. And it did. And so to this day, people is, well, that'll never work. And it's like, I used to say things like that. And you got to trust in, okay, so trust in the Lord if that's where your faith is, but just trust in the universe. Sometimes, the universe works in mysterious ways. And that actually might work where you would have never dreamed of having it work before, or that it would, would you use it on a regular basis? No, but would you get you out of a pinch? Yes. And so um, the answers from the universe are always there because, and as situations change on a minute to minute, day to day basis with life, situations that come up, they go, holy crap. you solve this, whatever the problem is, whether it be simple, what's for supper, or which can be a hassle to some folks, or what am I going to do, something, something, or how am I going to pay this bill, or just whatever comes up, you deal with it. You don't know how at the moment, and today you might, how am I going to pay this freaking bill that I got for this thing? And you just go, I don't know, I'm going to sleep on it. The biggest thing is you got to stop worrying, because the more you worry about it and constantly asking the universe for the solution, that seeking, looking too hard, you can't see the forest for the trees, seeking the answer, like, damn it, give me the answer. I don't know. If you're looking too hard, it just might just whiz right on by you, passed right on by. You might get whizzed on from it. Who knows? But to the point though, but the great mystery is always there. It's always open. And over the years, I understand that sometimes all I got to do is just stop if I'm walking. Now, if I'm driving, I don't close my eyes, but in a sense, I do. Driving down the highway and I go, oh, that's one of those, so I put myself sort of in an automatic thing, and my brain's working on this. Oh my God, there's an answer there. I'm still driving down the road and I'm like, oh my God, that's, you know, um, but I've had practice with that over the many years that I drove back and forth, over 100 miles a day. Um, but sometimes you have to go take a drive, Sometimes you just have to, you know, sitting around the kitchen table and thumping the table and beating your head. Sometimes go outside and sit on the back steps, you know. And if you smoke a cigarette, then smoke one. Light one up and just sit there and go, okay, now. But the answers are always there. The universe is always there. It's always around us. And the more you have faith in it, the more that you can trust it, which means you have to trust yourself. So if you got issues with yourself, going within yourself for the answer, going within is shutting up, keep your mouth shut, quit interfering, and let the universe show you or tell you the answer. And then you have to accept it when you get it. So accept and receive. Actually, it should be receive and accept, but you have to accept the reception. But then after you get the reception in the end, then you have to accept that. And you have to believe and have faith in that there's an answer in that answer from the universe. You go, well, I don't like the answer. Well, tough shit. There have been a lot of times when I've seen what the answer was, didn't like it at all. And some of them were very hard choices I had to make. I had to uh, pretty much dump someone that I loved very much, because I knew the future for us and the dreams and so forth that had come to me. It was not going to work out between us. It was just not going to work, no matter how much I loved her, no matter, and she loved me. And I had to end up being a dickhead and like go away, and it was hard for me to do. And and to this day, she hates me for it and what happened in the situation. And I tried my best to, you know, to end our relationship, and it just got clumsy, and no matter what I tried, you have to deal with the other person's feelings, and it got nasty. So, there ain't no being friends after all these years. That ain't happening. This was not one of them that um as much as I have tried to apologize and so forth. But to the point, though, it was an understanding that when the spirit gave me the answer, as much as I thought it, I didn't want it, it ended up that way anyway. So sometimes we don't like the answers. Sometimes it's just tough shit. We got to learn to deal with them. As bad as they are, as hard as they are, or whatever. But at the same time, as hard as it was to go through that, after all these years of looking back, it was the right thing. It ended up me being where I'm at now. Having certain people or whatever the situations, other folks would not have understood the shaman path that it was destined for me to take, if you will. And so it wasn't going to happen with this person. It just was not going to happen. And my destiny was different from hers. And it's proved true to this day. So I look like the asshole in the situation, but in my answers from the universe, they were like, hey, dude, they laid it out. You know, this is what's in store for you in the future. And like it or not, this is going to end. And if you try to extend it and continue it, it's more painful and it's going to get meaner. And showing up, it just had to, whoosh, that's it. So there have been regrets over the years, and I wished I had done things differently and just stuff. But it is what it is. And it was what it was. And so, my looking back on situations, the spirits were right about the what the future was holding for me, and it did not include this other person. As much as I loved them, as much as I wanted to be with them, and we had a lot of good times, and but it just was not supposed to happen that way. So um we can go against the cards, if you will. Like the spirits were showing me cards back in the day in my head, like, look, this, and in visions too. That look, uh, this is how it's going to fold out for you, Dave. And you're not going to be Dave anymore. You're actually going to be Hawkeye. What? Which was something I had not intended. But that's how it ended up, and here I am after all these years, almost 30 years now. Well, 25 at least. So at the time, it was like, man, this sucks. But now I look back and I'm glad I made the hard decisions then, because it turned out the way it was supposed to be. Last time I heard, she was happily married with a child and living in the mountains, and that's what she always wanted. So that's what she wanted. I had to stay here for as much as I wanted to be in the mountains and do these other things. It Nothing worked out. Everything went wrong because it wasn't where I was supposed to be, nor what I was supposed to be doing. And her destiny was to go this way, and mine was to stay here. That's just all there was to it. And I tried both, and it didn't work. It just, and I went to the mountain, you know. And the hawk came and spoke to me, and the chipmunks came and spoke to me. And thunder and lightning and rain came and washed away the old and showed me the new. Un- a, re- a remarkable experience. But I had to go to the mountain, Trey Mountain up in North Georgia, Northeast Georgia. Yeah. But anyway, so if You really got serious questions, then go to the mountain. Go up there and talk to the Lord, however you wish to perceive it. But go with an open mind. Now, one thing I gotta say, because this was a very, heart rendering situation that I went to the mountain for, to ask the great mystery, I went with a very troubled heart. And sometimes it works out that way in the universe. Something is troubling you and you're seeking answers from the universe. No problem. But somehow, if you can calm the trouble down, you're still asking for an answer. But if it's worry and your stomach aches and you're looking for the answer, you're too physically upset, which is interfering with your reception. So it's very hard, difficult. Something's really troubling you. Your heart is pounding, your guts are wrenching, and you need an answer, but it's hard to hear it. So do your best to drink some tea, calm down, hit the bowl, smoke a cigarette, whatever it is to calm the physical part of you down. Even though the question is still gut wrenching, you need to calm the gut down so you can hear the answer. Okay? Because the answer is there. But oh my God, what am I going to do? And how am I going to? And you're fraught with and you're not going to hear the answer. It is not going to come to you unless you've got a sure enough strong angel standing beside you, going, "The answer is 12." So the great mystery, always there, always present. I have mentioned this before several times in different videos. Keep your questions simple. If the answer comes back, lead a good life, and that's not enough of an answer for you, ask for clarification, ask for more explanation, and it might not come right at once because the universe has given you an answer. So now you have to cogitate and consternate and sometimes even constipate. What does this mean to you to have a full life? I mean, there are folks who love horseback riding. I was never really into horses. I've worked with horses. I've ridden a couple, but I'm not a horse person. I could be, but I mean, in life, I'm not. Where the person that I had to separate with was a horse person. Loved to go horseback riding all the time. Had a horse when she was younger. Blah blah blah, and was a horse person, and still is. Me, nope. I could have been a horse person because of her, but I'm not a horse person. Because of my neck, because of other things. But I like being around horses. I worked in stables and the barns and fed them and emptied. So I like horses. Horses seemed to like me when I was around them. So you know, but in the great mystery of things, horses is not something that is in my life. So, but somebody who loves horses, you know, I still like them, still get along, but I don't have one. Where these people will go out of their way to have a horse. You see what I'm talking about? So our lifestyles and who we are and whatever. I like going in the woods, but my next door neighbor, Miss Sheila, she likes to hunt in the woods. I like to go in the woods and feed the deer, and I got a uh, Robert sent me a trail cam, but I still haven't been able to walk down in the woods to put it up, but I'm ready to. But to the point, though, there are folks like me who just like to walk in the woods and watch for birds and things in nature. And then there are folks who like to go in the woods, especially during hunting season. They like to hunt. And so it's like, okay, but we both like the woods, you see. And, you know, um, and not picking on, women, but, here I'm the guy of the group, and you'd think that, well, you're a guy, you love the woods, you should be the hunter of the group. Well, you know, she's a lady, but she hunts and has killed more things than I ever have, or probably will. But that's the difference between us. We both like the woods. We both live in this neighborhood, but similar tastes, but different still. We're individuals, right? So enlightenment or spiritual connectedness is connected to those things that we like, or our hobbies, or what we're prone to do in our lifetimes. So that has to do with how you connect with the universe, what the answers mean to you, how you would interpret this answer. What does living a full life mean to you, right? To most people, I ain't going hunting. I'm not going down in them swamps. I'm not going to go, Dave, you're crazy. You go down in the swamps in your kayak. I mean, even my next door neighbor, he's like, I ain't getting in a kayak. No, sorry. I ain't getting in it. I'll go and get my John boat, but I ain't getting in a kayak. So it's like, okay. So he likes the woods. He likes the river. But he ain't getting in a kayak. Okie dokie. So nothing wrong with that. But then there are folks who like kayaks and, like myself or whatever. But then there are folks who would only get in a kayak on a lake. So here's the thing. We all have similar interests. We're all going to have the experience of the outdoors, of the water, but we're each going to experience in our own individual way. That's my point about the kayak boat thing. We're all going to be there. We all love the same outdoors and the same, but we're each going to look at it in a same thing spiritually. So the answer to the universe for me can ask the same question. It's going to feel different to me than it will be to you. And that's okay. It's supposed to be that way. And so, a note on that, there are folks who talk about the Akashic record, that they've tapped into the Akashic record. Well, their Akashic record ain't the same as mine, because my previous lives and incarnations were not their reincarnations. So what's in the record books doesn't doesn't pertain to me, because my previous lives were this, their previous lives were that. So they're reaching out for the records for humanity, I guess. But, for those of us, I'm sorry, but those records don't belong to me. Some of the files do, but mostly they don't pertain to me, because whatever my previous lives were, they were mine. And because we were all individuals, each of us has our own Akashic record. It's our own past. Now, my own past, I absolutely believe that I grew up and had a time when there was sword fighting. I believe that I've had some sword fights in the past. And and maybe a little bit of fencing, here and there, but sword fighting, oh, give me a sword. Where's my swordy at? I'm going to broadsword, whatever. But I don't think I was King Edward or anybody, no, I was just somebody that give me my sword. I swore I was going to stab somebody, or I swore it happened to me. But in that, so what my previous life was, and what my record is, even though I participated in some medieval thing, or I was, here during history or something like that. So I was participating, but somebody else who might have, had experiences in previous lives during the medieval period, they might have been, somewhere else, or they were a this, or. So their record, even though we shared a time period together, is not the same as mine. And mine not the same as theirs, right? So similar, but not the same. So when folks try to pinpoint, and I got to say that since I and a couple of other people have put it out there that, hey, Amanda, how are you? That Akashic records are different for different people. That the amount of discussions about the Akashic records has dropped. Now, maybe there's enough people who have understood or the records, or that, you can, if you um, ask the universe, that you will get your own downloads of things. And so there are some folks though, and I don't know. I have chewed the cud on some of these subjects, and I wonder, they talk about Atlantis, and this king, and I was this royal in the court of Atlantis, and Atlantis was over here, and this, and they talk all this stuff, and I just go, yeah, I don't know. Talking in such specifics. Well, I've had this dream, and my folks have said, Dave, Hawkeye, it sounds like a dream to me. Oh, really? Yeah, yeah. Don't tell anybody, but they're talking about this thing, and this is how it was, and Cleopatra, and they go into these stories, and I go, okay. No, 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 man, this is how it was, they claim. Okay. No, 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 really, this is how, okay. And it almost just seems too good to be true. It's like the story's too clean. I don't know. And there's just something about some of these folks who talk about the things from the Akashic records and stuff like that, and they know this because, and I just go, I listen, okay, I'm not sure. Some of this stuff like, yep, I've been there. Yep, that makes sense. Yep, you're right. I don't know if I've met you before, but what you're talking about, yeah. And then there are those records or stories or whatever, and I just shake my head and go, nah, I'm sorry, but it does not resonate in any way, and it feels dreamlike to me as they talk about it. It does not seem real, even though they're trying to make whatever they dreamed or saw or felt or their, but the story that they tell and how they tell it, it doesn't seem real in the telling. There's just an element of something ain't right. So, but I listen to some of these folks and they tell their tales, and I don't know about that, you know. But okay, if you say so, because it was your experience and your dream or vision or whatever it was. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it there. Not gonna ridicule you or pick on you or nothing like that. But in my own head, I just something ain't right there. But I will respect them because they feel that it happened or whatever, you know. And so same thing for me, you know, like those 3 days on the river. I can talk about it. I can try to emphasize how it felt. I can try to put you there with my, you know, I've got a picture in my head of what the palmetto bushes look like and what it felt like to be, you know, next to Mother Earth in the sand with my little dog at 102 in the shade during August. And can you feel it? Can you emphasize, empath, empathize, not emphasize, but empathize with how I describe this to you versus somebody, oh, I was there and it was glittering and it was, and the thing was like this and that. And it's like, yeah, okay. But it seems dreamlike in the way they discuss it. Anyway, I'm not picking on anybody and I don't have anybody specific in mind at the time. But I have heard folks talk about things, and there was just an element of something missing there. But anyway, but my true story of the 3 days, almost four on the river, you know, it really did happen. And as much as I, you know, try to make y'all believe that, you know, this, um, does it matter if you really understand? I wish you would. At least understand that it was, you know, holy moly, it was really difficult 3 days, almost four. My truck got stuck in the sand of the bridge, so I couldn't get out after I got back to my truck. Whole nother story on that one. But so our Akashic records, our experiences in previous lives, our experience in this life, how people are dealing with, you know, some folks are still wearing their mask, driving down the road in their own cars. And other people just, you know, if you tell me to put one on, okie doke. Things have changed, people have changed, things will never get back to normal, whatever normal was 2 years ago, kind of thing. I think we've all pretty much accepted that. Things ain't going back to normal. They're similar, but not because people are wearing masks and we had 2 years of quarantine and people are scared but they're not but they are but they won't and so um people's experiences in this new chaos now that we've had the elections, who knows, now we still got a runoff in Georgia. I'm still going to vote for Walker. I cannot vote for Warnock. I'm sorry, yes, he's a Democrat. The John Ossoff, who's a Democrat, is acting more conservative. I don't have a problem with him up to this point. Warnock, oh yeah, I'd rather see the other guy win, even though he looks like a klutz. I'd rather have somebody go up there who doesn't know anything about politics and needs to learn how to be a senator than somebody who thinks they know what they're doing and goes up there with an agenda. I'd rather take the lesser of two evils. But, you know, and asking questions to the universe is like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, ketchup. Oh, they're both black. Well, you don't use that word. Um, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, ketchup. Never mind. But I'm going to stick with Walker on this one for the simple reason that he may appear to be a Dutz and a clunkhead, but the other guy's got an agenda. He's working for this. And having signed off on Biden and this and that and how great Joe Biden is, I'm sorry, you think what? Never, just because he's made comments about how great Biden is, never mind. We need you out of there. It's not about Democrat. It's that you believe that Biden is a great president. Oh, holy shit! Nah. Adios, mofo. you know. But asking questions of the universe. Which one is a better candidate? Not necessarily Democrat or Republican. It just works out that way. But I'd rather have the guy with the least experience. Let him learn. But if somebody brings up something he's supposed to vote on, if he don't know what's going on, he might go, "Hey, wait a minute. What's going on here?" "Well, vote for this." "Well, wait a minute. Why?" "Well, the other guy, he's already, well, I'm going to vote for this because I'm a Democrat and I have an agenda," versus the other guy, Walker. So, but in the universe, so I've asked this question: how do I vote for these two guys, or don't vote at all for either one of them? But then what if this guy wins, which I really would rather not he go and be our senator for the next 6 years. I'd rather take the dumber guy, the one that doesn't seem to know shit, than everybody's making fun of. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, that old movie back in the day. Maybe with Jimmy Stewart, but anyway, but to the point though, so maybe might not what's going on, but he does want to fix it. Um, okay, you want to fix it. Do you know how? No, but when I get there, I'll figure it out. I can deal with that, versus the other guy who's got an agenda, and the agenda ain't nowhere near mine. You know what I mean? So, to the universe, we ask these questions, and they will give us guidance by insights. So, sometimes the answer doesn't just plop out of the sky. Sometimes you got to chew your cud and cogitate on it a day or two, or sometimes a little longer. But trust and have faith in yourself. You'll figure it out. Um, to have patience. That, all right, I'm asking the universe now, and if it doesn't come right now, I'm going to be patient. I asked the question. I'm sure because I have faith, the answer will come to me. So, with that, I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. And this is my second time of saying the prayer because I said it a little earlier. But in that law of three of saying it again for you and me, I do continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. So, and it really is a lot about awareness, and your presence and your ability to be able to close your eyes and allow yourself to hear. So, good luck, my friends. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes. It's a lot longer than I thought this conversation would be. But for those folks that are seeking enlightenment, it's up to you as to how far and how spiritually and how much you want to learn. None of us can make that decision for you. But I wish you luck. And if anybody has any questions or whatever at any time, let me know because we'll have more. I'll have more discussions on this matter and other things, so that people who are interested in the shaman journey and the spirit journey Hopefully, I can help folks find simple answers to life's persistent questions. So, um, I got a butt ache and I'm out of something to drink. So I love you all until next time, Michelle and Amanda and anybody else that's hanging out that I don't see at the moment. It's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. God love you. And, take care. Be safe. Have a good Saturday. And, have a humble and blessed Veterans Day, as was suggested by some other folks. So until next time, I love you. Cheers. TTFN and ween. And we love you, Cosmic Father.